All right, everyone, let's talk about something that's been on my mind for a while now. If I'm being completely honest, I've been pretty skeptical about XRP when it comes to one major thing: the complete lack of DeFi in this ecosystem. Think about this for a second. XRP is absolutely massive, right? We're talking about one of the biggest crypto projects that's been dominating the space for over a decade. 10 years. And yet, until very recently, the DeFi side has been basically empty. Like, crickets. But here's where things get exciting. That's all changing now, and I mean changing in a big way. What really has my attention is how institutional DeFi is finally becoming a reality on the XRP ledger. This could be a total game changer. Now, before we dive into the really juicy stuff, let me show you something incredible that just happened. So check this out. Doppler Finance just became one of the very first DeFi protocols to actually launch on the XRP ledger this year. And guess what? Their analytics dashboard just went live. You can now access all their protocol metrics, including the total value locked, or TVL for those keeping track. And when I looked at these numbers, my jaw literally dropped. Looking at the all-time chart since their launch, this thing has been going absolutely insane. At one point, they hit over $98 million. $98 million. Right now, it's sitting at around 81.8 million, which is still incredible. What's really cool is you can see everything: the net flows, total depositors, vault performance, asset distribution. And surprise, surprise, most of it is XRP, which makes perfect sense. This is seriously exciting to see. I'm expecting we'll see a lot more protocols like this popping up. Now, quick disclaimer here. If you're thinking about participating, please do it at your own risk. DeFi protocols always carry risks, and you could potentially lose everything. I have to say that. But here's the thing. DeFi is absolutely massive in crypto. It always has been. If you were around back in 2020, you remember DeFi summer, right? That was one of the biggest explosions we've ever seen in crypto. And technically, it still is huge today. And here's something interesting. Even with tokenization becoming this massive narrative we keep hearing about, guess what that leads to? More liquidity pools and even bigger DeFi use cases around those tokenized assets. So DeFi is still a huge piece of this puzzle. Now, beyond Doppler Finance, there's been some major updates from Flare as well, which we'll get to in a moment. But first, I want to share something really insightful with you. There's this podcast with financial advisors where they had an incredible discussion about the long-term vision for XRP DeFi, institutional grade trust and custody, and strategic differentiation in the DeFi space. The conversation is absolutely worth checking out.
Explain to me, first of all, what you guys do and how do you generate yield?
I think it's important to understand that the underlying problem was always that XRP is considered an idle asset, right? It's a passive. You cannot earn yields natively because it does not rely on proof of stake. And that's a big problem. We're talking about 880 billion worth of XRP that's sitting idle, essentially. So Doppler saw this need for providing yields and therefore created vaults, XRP yield vaults, where people can now deposit their XRP and then earn 3 to 4% in yields. And the way Doppler generates these yields is currently through trading partners. So these trading partners are deploying trading strategies, mostly delta neutral, principal protected. Those are funding rates farming, basis trades, market neutral strategies. And they generate yield and they get returned to the user.
What I really love about this discussion is how they break down their yield creation process. This is crucial because one of the biggest problems in DeFi is protocols over-promising these crazy APY rates without any real backing behind them. People just throw their money at these promises and then boom, everything goes bust overnight. So seeing this level of transparency and strategy, that's refreshing and gives me a lot more confidence. It's a fantastic discussion that gives you a detailed inside look at what Doppler is really building. And speaking of exciting developments, Flare just announced that Phase 3 of Firelight Fi is now live on their network. Here's their pitch, and it's pretty compelling. Carry the fire to XRP and power DeFi's next security layer. Deposit FXRP into the launch vault to earn Firelight points and support the evolution of programmable cover. Now, we actually heard directly from Hugo at Flare about this, and what he said absolutely blew my mind. He said if Firelight is successful, and I mean really successful, it's going to completely shift the entire landscape of DeFi. Think about this for a second. We're talking about institutions that represent trillions of dollars in assets under management. Trillions. These massive players are currently completely shut out of DeFi. But if Firelight works, they'll be able to engage for the first time ever. If this actually happens, Hugo believes Firelight will be the biggest thing to happen in both DeFi and XRP in a very, very long time. And honestly, I'm starting to think he might be right. This has my full attention because we're seeing more and more DeFi protocols launching, more initiatives around XRP coming to life every single day. It's becoming reality right before our eyes as more projects get built on the XRP ledger. You know what's been driving me crazy though? DeFi has been a complete ghost town on XRP for years. And that makes absolutely no sense when you really think about it. The XRP ledger was literally built for payments, built for transactions, and it was also designed for tokenization and DeFi from day one. I mean, it's had a built-in DEX since the very beginning. So the fact that DeFi has taken this long to become a major reality on XRP, that's just shocking to me. But better late than never, right? Now, here's where things get really interesting. We just saw a massive update from Evernorth, and for those who don't know, they're one of the largest public XRP treasury companies in the world. Their mission statement is pretty bold. We are helping to bridge the worlds of TradFi and DeFi to power the future of investing. Our purpose-built approach gives investors access to tomorrow's markets powered by XRP opportunities and real institutional adoption. Let me break down what makes this so exciting. First, their approach to digital asset growth. They're creating diversified growth opportunities by combining the strategic principles of both traditional finance and DeFi. They're literally turning XRP holdings into sustainable growth for investors. Second, their team brings decades of combined experience in blockchain and global finance. We're talking about people with trusted relationships across both TradFi and the digital asset ecosystem. And here's the kicker. They're perfectly positioned for what's happening right now. Institutional adoption is accelerating, regulations are getting clearer, and the rise of RLUSD stablecoin is fueling XRP's momentum. Remember, XRP was purpose-built for finance and payments from day one. Today, it's leading the way in both tokenized real-world assets and blockchain payments. Now, here's where the technical analysis gets really interesting. According to some insights from the community, the real exciting part of Evernorth isn't just being an XRP validator. It's about providing liquidity and DeFi integration directly on XRP. It sounds like they're looking to really engage with the automated market maker on the XRP ledger, possibly through the XRP RLUSD pool. There's also this upcoming lending amendment called XLS 66 that seems crucial if they want to use XRP as collateral for DeFi. But Evernorth's vision goes way beyond just building a massive institutional XRP treasury. They're planning to deploy serious resources to advance the entire XRP ecosystem. This includes running XRP validators to strengthen network security and decentralization, DeFi integration using Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin as an on-ramp into XRP-based decentralized finance, and market developments that provide liquidity for projects expanding XRP's real-world utility. And here's the big moment we've all been waiting for, the launch of the institutional DeFi portal. This gives us a full view of all the use cases this technology can deliver. Recently, there was some great analysis about the core pieces that Ripple has been acquiring throughout 2025. Basically, Ripple is building a complete digital asset infrastructure stack specifically for institutional players. We're talking about custody, liquidity, payments, stablecoin rails, and treasury tools all in one place. G-Treasury brings enterprise-grade treasury management and real-time liquidity capabilities. This ecosystem is really starting to heat up. And honestly, I think we're just getting started. Let me break down what Ripple has been building behind the scenes, because this is where everything clicks together. Palisade powers lightning-fast, secure, multi-party computation custody and wallet services. Ripple Prime delivers institutional trading and liquidity for both XRP and RLUD. Ripple is literally positioning itself as the backbone for global on-chain finance. But here's the thing. All of this infrastructure was missing one crucial piece of the puzzle. Think about it. What are these massive institutional players actually going to do with all this technology? Sure, they want payments and stablecoin rails. That's obvious. But there's something bigger thereafter. They want to tokenize everything. And once they tokenize their assets, guess what they want to do next? They want to tap into DeFi. And that's exactly where Ripple's institutional DeFi portal comes in. This is the game changer we've been waiting for. This portal is going to cater specifically to tokenized assets because you can actually tokenize assets directly within this platform. And remember, this is all built on the XRP Ledger Foundation. Here's what gets me excited. You can enable XRP deposits, allow XRP trading, and this opens the door for tokenized assets to be traded and tapped into liquidity pools. We're talking about full integration with the DeFi protocols that are already live on the XRP ledger. Guys, this is the shift. Everything we've seen from Ripple this year, all those strategic acquisitions, they've been building toward this moment. This is all centered around bringing institutional players into DeFi. Let me put this in perspective for you. Ripple has a complete breakdown of how all these acquisitions fit together under one unified platform. Their mission statement? We are building the infrastructure that powers the Internet of Value. We've always talked about how Ripple wants to build a one-stop shop for institutional players when it comes to digital assets and tokenization. And this is exactly what they're executing with all these moves. Here are the numbers that will blow your mind. Ripple has invested nearly $4 billion into the crypto ecosystem through strategic investments and acquisitions. 2025 has been their most ambitious year yet, with 4 major acquisitions all pointing toward one clear mission: to be the one-stop infrastructure provider for moving value the way information moves today. Their strategy sounds simple, but the impact is absolutely sweeping. Ripple is delivering a complete end-to-end payment stack backed by enterprise-grade digital asset services. This gives institutions everything they need to engage with, benefit from, and scale with the on-chain economy. Some of these acquisitions will plug directly into Ripple payments, creating a unified, seamless operating environment with even more capabilities and currencies. Others will operate independently while still benefiting from shared infrastructure. But here's the big picture. Together, they're bringing Ripple closer to owning the complete financial plumbing behind global value movement. What does that mean for their clients? Access to the full suite of digital asset capabilities that make their business faster, more efficient, and future-proof. We're talking about custody, liquidity, payout networks, treasury management, prime brokerage services, and real-time settlement all under one roof. This is incredibly bullish. And here's something that really drives home why this matters so much. As we head into 2026, businesses are operating in real time, but their financial infrastructure still isn't. Ripple is completely focused on bringing those players into modern infrastructure. Their unified offering gives companies the ability to bring their money management and movement up to the expectations of the digital world. These newest acquisitions aren't just nice additions. They're critical to powering that massive change. The main thing we're looking at here is that this entire ecosystem is built around providing complete infrastructure for big players to tap into specific use cases around digital assets. This isn't just about payments anymore. This is about revolutionizing how institutions interact with the entire digital asset ecosystem. But here's where everything comes together. All of this infrastructure is leading toward one ultimate destination: the institutional DeFi portal. Think about what this means. All these institutional players can now tap into this complete one-stop shop infrastructure that's integrating XRP and the XRP ledger directly into the core stack for every DeFi use case they could want. We're talking about tokenizing everything. Stablecoins, real-world assets, you name it. Plus, payments over the XRP ledger, which we already know are incredibly efficient. And of course, all the DeFi use cases that are rapidly becoming a big deal on the XRP ledger. Everything we're seeing here is extremely bullish for both XRP and the XRP ledger. And here's the kicker. We're still just at the beginning phases of the institutional crypto wave. I think there's a huge misconception out there that I want to address. Yes, 2025 has been an incredibly bullish year for institutional players diving in. We're seeing Wall Street lining up with ETF products left and right. But here's what we're not seeing yet. Increased institutional use of DeFi protocols or large-scale tokenization of core assets. We're still in the early phases of almost all of this. However, looking ahead to 2026, I honestly suspect that many of these use cases are going to scale in a massive way. We've got the Clarity Act potentially coming through, more participation from institutional players, and growing acceptance from governments around the world. I really believe that 2026 is going to be a pivotal year for these use cases to start scaling around the Ripple ecosystem. And of course, the broader XRP and XRP ledger ecosystem. The infrastructure is being built right now. The regulatory framework is getting clearer. The institutional interest is there. All the pieces are falling into place for something really big. So I'm extremely excited for what's coming next. This DeFi revolution on XRP is just getting started. And honestly, I think we're about to see some incredible developments. That's a wrap on today's deep dive into the XRP DeFi revolution. If you found this analysis valuable and got as excited as I did about these developments, definitely smash that like button. Hit subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any updates on this rapidly evolving ecosystem. What do you think will be the biggest game changer for XRP in 2026? Drop your predictions in the comments below. I love hearing your thoughts. Until next time, keep hodling and stay bullish.